Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Positive Change Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron.
And I'm Camille.
Today, on this episode, we're going to be talking about assessing your personal situation.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, let's get positive. All right, here we go. Next episode. And we gave a little teaser last time of what we were going to be talking about.
I think that's how we're going to always do it.
Yeah, I think it's the best idea. It's the best way to do it, honestly.
Gets you excited. Gets you pumped.
Yeah, it definitely does. Start off like we did kind of last time. We'll start off with a quote. The quote is, "Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise." From Sigmund Freud.
Oh, Sigmund Freud.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Great guy. Not that I know him personally, but I mean, it's kind of funny.
What a great quote.
Yeah, good quote. I think the big kicker is being honest with yourself. I think that's sometimes hard to do.
It's super hard. It's especially hard when you don't want to be honest.
Yeah, when it's difficult because sometimes the answers are hard. They're hard to hear.
You don't want to hear them. It's like someone else telling you something that you know is the truth, but you really don't want to hear it. Yeah. You're telling yourself this, but you really don't want to hear it.
Yeah. I think with us, one of our very first things that we talked about was when we really went into assessing. There we go. I said it right that time. Assessing our personal situation was really just our living situation, where we're at in life and where we want to be maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, which is having our own place, which is being able to, have a place for our boys to grow up in our household and really just become really independent and kind of move forward from there. I think it's really important for us, and we've been in this house, in the multi-generational house, for a little over 5 years, and
almost. It's 5.5.
Yeah, it's like 5.5, and it's been really good because it's given us opportunities to be able to do what we need. I've been able to focus on school for the last
the whole time.
Yeah, whole time, honestly, because it's been on and off. But I finally figured out exactly what I want to do, and it's given me the ability to really focus on school and not have to worry about the financial side of everything that's going on. And that's been a real big blessing. It's given us the opportunity to have our kids develop a good relationship with their grandparents. It's given us a situation where we've had to really humble ourselves and become team players, I think is the best word for it. We have to really pitch in ourselves to help out the people that also live in the house with us.
Which is hard.
Yeah, it can be. And we step on toes. Everybody steps on toes.
Yep.
I mean, we've done that since day one. And, you just got to move past it. And if you do something wrong, you got to apologize and
move past it.
Move past it and move forward knowing that there's a better day the next day.
Yeah.
You can make that next day a better day. So really the first thing to do when assessing your personal situation is be honest with yourself. Is to be completely and truly honest with yourself.
Very honest.
And it can be hard to hear sometimes because when you're honest with yourself, you have to dig really deep.
Very deep.
The best way that I like to do it is I start by writing. Like I'll do actual pen and paper. You got to write this stuff down because if it's just in your brain, it's not really going to work. If you do it in your phone, it kind of works, but I personally like to do it with pen and paper because when you see it, you can visualize it. You can put it somewhere that you can see every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the challenges that you make for yourself, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the first step is being completely and brutally honest with yourself. Telling yourself that these are the things that I do not like.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that I need to change.
Yep.
And you write those down. I like to write down 3 things that just pop into my mind instantly, or 5. If you can think of 5 things, then do it. And then I really like to take time. I like to come up with about 20 different things, because if you start with the 3 to 5 things, those are the things that instantly pop into your head. Those are the things that you already know. Hey, I've been wanting to change these things and I haven't done it in a while. The next 5 are going to be difficult to think of because you don't think of them often. It may be something that is a small change, or it could be a big change, but you don't really recognize it all the time. And then those last 10 are going to be really, really difficult to come up with. Yeah. But generally, those 2 to 3 of them within those 10 are the ones that are going to completely change your life.
Yeah.
Because those 2 to 3 things are the biggest cause and effects that are happening in our life right now. So I like to do that to start. And then after I do those 20, I like to take it. I like to find those 2 or 3, and I really like to focus on those. Mm-hmm. Those are the main ones that I focus on. For me personally right now, living situation is my first one. Personal finance. And relationships. Mm-hmm. Between you and me and the boys, and me and my friends and my family, my peers, people that I know, and then also people that I don't know. Yeah. The relationships that I maybe haven't made yet, or the people that just need help. Yeah. Those are my 3 biggest things, because from those 3 things, I feel like I've had the most stress. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've had the most pain and hardship in my life. Past relationships, current relationships, future relationships, they all play a huge role in my life. I'm the type of person that relationships really carry a toll on me. So something bad happens in it, I always overthink it. And I always have to ask myself, what did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. And I don't even take into account that maybe it wasn't even my fault. I always assume that it was my fault. And I always take the blame, and I always try to figure out how I can fix it. Very difficult. Mm-hmm. Really sucks for me. But along with that, I've started to try to change my mindset to, it may have been my fault, but I can fix it. Yeah. But is a huge word. It is a great word when going into assessing your personal situation, because if you use that word when you're starting it, I did this, but I can do this. It shows progression. It shows that you want to change. It shows that there's something in you that needs correction. Mm-hmm. And it shows that you're willing to progress. Yeah, sorry. Let's hear some thoughts from you on that. I've talked way too much.
Assessing your personal situation. I think it can help you kind of understand what you're currently going through. I think I'm different than you, which is nice. It's nice that we're not the same. But I don't love to focus on future things, just because I get very antsy and want things to be boom, 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 boom. So it's very hard to think even past a certain point. Yeah. So for me, it's 6 months is how far I can go. Maybe a little bit further. After that, I choose not to focus on. Just because I get a little antsy
I
and
think
want it to be done.
I think
Like, as soon as possible.
yeah, I think that if I put too many things off into the future, then I get stressed
Yeah.
because then I create this expectation for
Yeah.
myself, and that is what messes me up.
Yeah.
Because if I look too far into the future and I try to create these unrealistic expectations, then I try to achieve them, and when I don't achieve them, then I get very discouraged, and then it makes me not want to try anything new anymore. So I think for me, it's creating these realistic expectations. Like in 2 years, I would like to be graduated. 2.5, sorry, 2.5, because I've actually mapped it out.
Yep.
And I figured out that I have 2.5 years left of school. I want to have a new job within 3 years in the tech industry where I'm able to actually be doing some sort of programming, some sort of thing like that. Data analytics, anything like that.
I can go to a certain extent, like, when it comes to certain things. I don't know, maybe like going to school.
Yeah.
But that's not plausible until a certain point.
So for you, it's more you have the ideas of it, but you
Yes.
haven't planned it yet because
Yes.
you're not exactly sure when it can happen.
Yes.
Gotcha. And well, that's not exactly a bad thing because that's the dreaming aspect. And dreaming is very huge in this personal assessment because if you include your dreams, that is what kind of leads you
Motivates.
and motivates you to what you need to be doing. So these dreams are what fuel you. They're the things that bring joy into your life. They're the things that bring, the guide that you want to do. So for me, like, I have a dream of having a very nice house. I have a dream of owning a really nice boat, of owning a very nice truck. The only way to really do that is to have the money to do that. So I know that I need to have a profession where I make a decent amount of money. Tech.
Yeah.
Now, is that the thing that I absolutely love? No. I plan to be kind of branched out. I plan to have multiple
XYZ things.
Yeah, I plan to have multiple streams of income in the future, but for right now, that is my main focus. My schooling is my main focus. After I get out of that, I have my dreams, I have my ideas, real estate, investing, anything like that. That's the type of stuff that I look forward to when I actually have the money to be able to do it. But it's something that, like, even now, I've already put some of those steps in place. I have a life insurance policy, not just like a term life insurance, but like a variable life insurance policy, which allows me to accumulate a cash value, which goes into a bunch of other stuff, which I won't talk about. Because it's just,
There's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But I've found some things that I can do now early on to be able to create, these dreams and these ideas that I have right now, so that later in the future I'll be able to reap from those rewards. But as of right now, school is my main focus. I want to make sure that I have the right education. I want to make sure I get all that done so that then I can move on to my next better ideas that I want and I have. Anything to add?
I was just gonna say that, if you think you don't need to assess your personal situation, you do. It's useful. It's useful.
Well, even if you're not in like a hard situation, even if you don't think you need to change, assessing your personal situation, having a true sit down
help you a lot.
can really help you because
Then
you may not notice things that you need to change in your life because they may not be harmful.
Noticeable or harmful.
Yeah, they may not be doing any harm to you or others, but it may be something that
you see it and you're like,
it may be a weakness. It may be something that isn't exactly encouraging you to do something better. Exactly. And progression and learning and being able to take that step is really a lifelong pursuit. It's something that you have to work on your entire life.
Yep.
So let's hear. Trace back. Be completely honest with yourself. Create the list of 20. After you've created that list, choose the 2 or 3 main focuses.
Yep.
That's what we've gone through so far.
Yes.
There's 2 more steps. After you've chosen those 2 to 3 that you're really going to focus on, do the work. This is the most important aspect because you can create your list, you can assess your personal situation, you can do all this stuff, you can choose a 2 to 3, but if you never act on those, nothing's going to happen.
And then it's not going to happen. And give yourself grace because it's not going to happen like that.
And humility. I think humility is a big one because when creating the list and also after you start working on those things, because if you don't have humility, not much is going to change.
Yeah. But I think you need to give yourself some grace and give yourself the understanding that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen over a couple days. It can take a week. It can take a month. It can take 2 months. It could take a year. Because it is hard to...
Take 30 years. It could take a long time.
It can be very hard to be very truthful and honest with yourself, but also be very honest if you're married and have a spouse. It can be hard to be very brutally honest, or more so truthful, and be willing to accept what you're saying and what the other person is saying. Because spouse-wise, your spouse will see things that you don't see and be able to point it out. And you can be truthful, but you don't have to be brutal. I think, I'm trying to avoid the word brutal because being honest and being truthful means that you don't have to be so blunt.
Well, but it also takes into account that you have to be blunt.
Well, I'm more saying in the sense of know when to be truthful with yourself. If you're having a extremely hard time, maybe now's not, the best time to be honest with yourself. If you're having a really bad day, not the best day to do this.
Yeah, not the best day to start your assessment.
I'm like, choose it when you're feeling the best about yourself and the best about what's happening with the other person.
I agree with that in most circumstances, but there's certain circumstances where I would say this certain assessment needs to be done when you're at your lowest of lows. Yeah. Because if you are at a low, say you just had a business completely fail, you went through a divorce, you went through any sort of hardship that's going on in your life, and it's really created these negative feelings, these depression-like qualities in you. This assessment is really important.
Well, I'm saying, like, not in the sense of, like, doing it. There's a time and there's a place.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Do not be doing this, like, the day you find out something that has extremely either A, hurt your feelings, or B, you're on a extremely high and you're gonna bring yourself crashing down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You don't want to be doing that.
You want to be normalized.
Yes.
You want to be in a state where you can think logically, you can think honestly, and you can move forward.
And I think when it's yourself doing it, that's one thing, but when you're adding a spouse or your partner or whatever, you talking to someone else, if they're not in the right mindset and they're not feeling their best, not the best, or they're on a super high about something that's extremely happy, you really don't want to say something truthful that can hurt.
Yeah.
Because brutal honesty, it it can be hurtful.
Well, and I think when you're doing this assessment with two people, like your spouse or with someone that you have some sort of relationship with, it's important to take the other person's feelings into account, because you may be ready to do the assessment, but the other person may not be able to.
Yes.
And I think the best way to tackle that is, instead of doing an assessment, sit down and talk about the things that bother you about the other person. And don't exactly be honest about these things. Like, be honest, but don't be brutally honest. I want you to just say, hey, there's some things that I would like to talk to you about.
If now's not the time.
If now's not the time,
that's fine.
That is fine, but I need this because it's something that I am struggling with, and I really want our relationship to last.
Yeah. I think that's another thing is assessing your personal situation doesn't only mean your living situation, your financial situation. It really does mean everything in your life. Relationships, assessing personal relationships and how those relationships are affecting you. Because I'm going to be honest, there are toxic relationships that I think in our lives could go away.
Yeah.
Or could be changed in a different scenario. But I think that's the other thing. Like, for me, it's not really necessarily about finances and a little bit more about living situation, but it's also about the relationships we have with certain people, and those people that in this moment, they're no good right now. The relationship is no good.
Yeah.
And there's no way to fix it at the moment, because both sides are very just not in a good place. And
you can't change something. If neither person is wanting to change.
And I think that's I always do the whole thing of, I like had it in my head and now I lost it. Everybody comes in your life for a reason. But sometimes they're only there for a short period of time, and others are meant to be there for a long period of time. And this would help you see what people are only supposed to be here for a short period of time and what people are supposed to be here for a long period of time. Again, there's a Bluey episode for it.
Man, Bluey throwing out the life goals. Jeez.
Well, it's a really good show. Can you blame me?
Now, we don't watch this by ourselves. We only watch it with our kids there. But okay, well, I only watch it. I watch it by myself. There. All right.
I watch it by myself because it's not just a kid's show. There are a lot of things that as an adult, I think we kind of, I want to say, slide right past, or we choose not to think about anymore, or we just never thought about it. And there's a certain episode that's about Bluey meets a friend at a camp out, and they play together for the whole camp out, and then the friend leaves, and she asks her mom, why do some friends come and go? And her mom explained, well, some people are meant to be in your life for a short period of time because you need to learn something, and others are here for a long period of time because you need them to be. But that doesn't mean that they can't come back into your life at another point. And sometimes you only needed them for that period. And that was that. And I think sometimes we need to hear that certain relationships, whether it be family, friends, coworkers, anything like that, we really need to be more understanding of ourselves and being the ones that are like, right now, you're not good for me.
Yeah.
And you have to be selfish in that sense.
Yeah.
Because for you, it could be no good at this moment. Mm-hmm. And you really need to cut ties until you can, or cut ties and
maybe not cut ties, but step back.
Yes.
You need to step back, and while you're reassessing your life, you need to be able to be in that safe space so that you can focus on what is good for you, what's good for your relationship, what's good for your family, those types of things, because that's the main goal of life, is to live, a prosperous, joyful life, to be able to accomplish the things that you've been put on this world to do. And I mean, we all have a purpose. We all have these ideals. We all have these characteristics. We all have these traits. These are all things that we were given to be able to fulfill our life goal, to be able to fulfill our destiny. Like, and we all have these big ideas, these big dreams, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But knowing who you are and having your assessment be truthful and honest, to understand and know who you are and what your relationship is what creates that ideal life, what creates that joy. But yeah, I think it's super important. So we've done 4. 5th one, last one, reassessment. You need to set up a specific reassessment date, whether it's 6 months from now, whether it's 3 months from now, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's a year. Personally, I always have mine as a year. 1 year is a good time because it gives you the time to focus on the 2 or 3. If you complete the 2 or 3, or you feel like you've completed them,
pick another 2.
Pick another 2. Exactly.
Or
you
3.
have 20. And always be focused on those 2 to 3 as the main ones. But if you have an opportunity to work on another one, always choose to do it. Always be trying to grow. Always be trying to discover yourself and figure out exactly who you are. Put yourself in the situations that allow you to grow, that allow you to create a better mindset for yourself. Find the things that you love to do. Rediscover yourself. Rediscover your passions, your loves, your wants, your needs, everything. Because those are all super important in your life. And it sounds like something that we could also talk about.
Next podcast.
Next
episode.
But yeah, so recap of those 5 basically is start off by being brutally honest with yourself. No matter what. That's how you have to start off this entire assessment. Write down 20 things. Start with your main 3 to 5. Those are going to be pretty easy to come up with.
Work from there.
Yep, and then come up with another 5 that are going to be a little bit harder to think of, and then do a list of 10. Those 10 are going to be really hard to think of, and they may take days, may take weeks, but it's really important because from those 10, you're going to have 2 to 3 that are going to be the main root causes of most of the problems that are going on in your life. After you've created your list, after you've picked out those 2 or 3, so that's step 2 and 3. Step 4, do it. Make sure that you are staying focused on your problems. Make sure that you are looking to try and grow. Make sure you are looking to better yourself and change whatever needs to be changed in your own personal lives so that you can then put that out into the world. And then number 5, reassessment. 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year from now, create a reassessment date, put it down in paper, put it down somewhere,
Put it in your calendar.
Exactly. Like, I plan to do it once every single year. And honestly, New Year's Day is a great day to do a reassessment.
I know everybody says they hate doing the New Year, New Me resolution, but honestly, it's kind of like the best time to do it.
Maybe even change it. Instead of it being New Year, New Me, you say New Year, same me, but better me.
Mm-hmm.
I think better is always the best.
Yes.
But those are the final 5 of the assessment of your personal self.
And I think we would just like to challenge you to spend, the next week, 2 weeks, however long it takes you to do your own personal assessing. And if you need to, or want to, you can always either ask for someone else's support to support you in doing it, or you have our support in doing it too.
If you need tips or tricks, just leave a comment. You can reach out to us on social media as well. We do read every single comment that goes on, and we do answer to messages if we need to.
Yep.
And we are willing to help out people the best that we can.
And we will do the same.
Yeah.
As we challenge you, we challenge ourselves as well. And we just,
Yeah, I mean, we're personally going through our personal assessment. We're not done yet. I may have done mine, but we still have our relationship one that we're doing, and we have a lot of growth that we can do. We have a lot of change that can be made. So we're really excited to be able to do this, and we're excited for the results that we get. But yeah, we challenge you to do that and really be honest with yourself and create the change that you want. And like we always say at the end of our podcast is be the change. Change the narrative that's going on in this world, and choose to be completely, honest with yourself, honest with others, and look for the positivity that you can provide in someone else's life as well as yours. Other than that, we are excited, and we thank you, we love you, and we will talk to you next time.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.